Feels like it's been forever. Welcome back to Max's Writer's Life Vlogs, where I talk about my own creative process, what I've been up to, and I offer writing advice and inspiration along the way. It's been a little while since my last vlog, and that is mostly due to the last month's hecticness near the end. If you've been following me on YouTube, or maybe this is the first video you're watching, in which case, hello there! I make writing advice videos. I'm back. I was gone at a con, and then some other personal stuff happened, but I'm back! And videos are coming back in full force. Such as this one! Today, I'm going to be talking about my brainstorming tips, as well as where the heck was I? So let's dive right in. Where was I? Why haven't there been videos for a little while? Well, as you remember, or if you remember, I went to FanimeCon in San Jose, California with Kitty and Plakesworth, and it was actually really exciting. It's been the first time in forever that the con just flew by. Those 4/5 days just disappeared. In between, talking to people, going to gatherings, going to the dealer's hall and the artist alley, and also just playing board games with Plague and Kitty and Plague's significant other. It was actually all really fun and exciting. Also, Kitty got me a little Trubbish plushie. Can you believe that? Trubbish. That's me. Hashtag trash tier and proud of it. But yeah, no, I did Fanime. After that, I spent a weekend, I guess, at Kitty's place. I wanted to try to stream. If you follow me on Twitter, you followed my misadventures. I was trying to get a streaming setup, and I forgot my monitor, my other monitor, which, that's a problem right there. And I also found that the streaming software that I wanted to use did not support one of the features that I was looking for, which is support for Elgato capture cards. Because I wanted to do like a writing advice stream and then like a gameplay stream with friends. But that didn't work. I'm gonna try probably, I don't know, in a few months maybe? You may be asking, Max, why don't you just stream, period? Well, my internet sucks. The internet at the place that I live in right now sucks. Kitty's internet, though, is way better. In a couple of months, I'm gonna be looking after her place, because she does like a yearly vacation thing, and someone has to look after her cat Yanto, because God knows he's just so dumb, he can't look after himself. I'll probably be back at Kitty's place, and I'll try like a streaming thing. If you have ideas for things you would like me to stream writing advice-wise, such as Max answering questions live, or Max does a live role-playing session with the viewers. Roll initiative, now. But anyways, if those things appeal to you, let me know in the comments. If you don't let me know, I won't know, and it may not happen, so yell at me. Other than that, what else was I doing? Well, I have also been working on a bunch of other things. This last year has been like really bad for me, and you know the things that happened if you've been following me. I'm not gonna go over all of them, but the important thing is that things are getting back into full force at last. I'm so happy. I have like 2 book releases in the next like month or so, and then more coming up from that. I've been trying to build up a backlog, and I finally have it. So now there will be steady releases moving forward. I'm really excited. It's stories that everyone's gonna get to read, books of story seeds, books of weird prompts, all those things are coming back. So yeah, I'm working on a lot of things, most of which I can't talk about, but there's one thing I can indeed talk about, and that is the triumphant, glorious return of my writing playlists. I haven't done a writing playlist in forever, almost like a year already, but they're back. They're coming back. I'm shooting to be doing one every 2 to 3 weeks, and the first 2 playlists are already set up, ready to go. I'm working a little bit ahead, so there's not a pause in content. The first one may be coming down next week. It all depends on scheduling and stuff. If you don't know what my writing playlists are, I have a profile on 8tracks.com, 8tracks.com/mkirin. Haven't said that in ages. Where I gather writing tracks that I like, and I set them around a particular theme. I have some diamond and platinum freaking playlists on that. It's kind of amazing. It's fun to see a lot of support for writing playlists, and I'm gonna be making more. So if you have ideas for future playlists, let me know in the comments down below. The first playlist that I'm gonna release, it's gonna be a nice, chill playlist, something for thinking about writing, deep thinking, and brainstorming, which happens to be the subject of today's video. Alright, so enough talking about me already. Let's talk about today's subject of the day. That's not redundant at all! Today's question actually comes from a longtime viewer/watcher, William, and the question goes a little bit like this. Brainstorming is one of the most enjoyable parts of the writing process for me, but it takes forever. I'm already using your planning guide, which is awesome, but I find my planning isn't fleshed out enough. My story ends up breaking apart, meaning I get lost in the scope, spectacle, and complications, and not in a good way. Are there any techniques you have for being more efficient and or faster in brainstorming/planning? Also, simplifying the process if that's possible? So this question is very special for me because I just recently finished brainstorming a project that's, in the conveyor belt of things that are coming down. And brainstorming is, or at least for me, fleshing out characters, places, and events is always a drag for me. And I'll talk more about that in a moment. I can agree with William in which that brainstorming for me takes a long time, and it's almost like an uphill battle every time. That being said, I'm gonna just come forward and say that I don't think, or I mean, personally, I don't know if there's an easier or quicker way to do it. I personally feel that, at least for me, every time I have to do brainstorming, and actually I should stop for a minute and actually explain what I mean by that. I have a planning guide, how to plan your novel from the ground up. It's a 1-hour workshop video where I go over my entire process, the process that I've been using and perfecting over almost half a decade now. Wow, that sounds like a long time. It's on my channel, go look it up. In it, I describe one part of the planning process is to come up with the characters, places, and events that you think you may possibly need for the story. And then, taking the time to stop, go one by one, and write down all the things that you know and the things that you don't know about this character. That part of the process for me is always a little bit of a drag because I have to go character by character and write down the things that I know and the things that I don't know. And while I know it's effective, it takes a long while. But there are a couple of things that I've done over the past to kind of improve the process, or at least make it less of a drag for me, which are the points I'm about to be covering. Point 1, let's take it from the top. Why are we doing this brainstorming? Why are we looking at the character and asking ourselves questions like, what do I know about this character? What do they look like? What do they not look like? Where do they live? What do they believe in? And so forth and so on. At least from my point of view, I'm asking these questions because when I first come up with a story and I get an idea for the story, the characters, events, and places, and objects, and concepts are these amorphous beings. Like imagine like a blur, like literally like a pixelated blurb of a character. And in the act of brainstorming, of writing this out, I start shaving away at the blur until an outline of the character remains. For me, the brainstorming, and what I consider to be like one of the pitfalls of brainstorming, is that like you can do this forever. You can do this indefinitely and spend lots of time doing that, but for me, my goal is just to shave away the blur until I can see the outline. Until I can imagine what this character looks like in my head without having to do a lot of mental arithmetic, and also imagine what they sound like and how they behave in the world. And I stop there. Once I have the mental image, once I can picture the character with ease in my mind, I stop brainstorming. Why? Because during the act of writing, the character is going to reveal to us who they actually are, how they actually behave. I've said this in the past, and I'm going to say it again. The writing is always right. The brainstorming, the outline, all those things that you did before actually writing come second. They're not the Bible, they're not the rules of how this world works. It is merely just your first impression, the way that you thought maybe things would turn out to be. That's why I sit down, I write down everything that I know and the things that I don't know about this character, and then I stop. The instant that I have that outline of what they look like, or how they may behave and sound, I stop. Because I have enough. I have enough to get going, and honestly, and I have done this in the past, you can just keep going. And I feel that there comes a point in which you keep talking so much about the character that you just forge your mental impression of who they are, and the stronger that is, the harder it will be for the character to bloom in the act of storytelling, because they're gonna change and develop. You have no control over that. So the entire point of why we're doing this is, at least from my point of view, to have a better mental image of the character, a grasp on who they are and what they look like and how they, behave in the world, so that when I jump into the writing, I don't ask myself, wait a minute, what does the main character look like again? No. You brainstorm ahead, so you have that image of them. It may not be who they truly are, they will develop and change throughout the story, but for the time being, you at least have a starting point. Now, as for actual tips, one of the things that has helped me a lot, and if I do, or when I do a revision of the planning guide, I'm going to add this point. Whenever I start working out the details of a character, I don't do lists. I have found that lists are actually not very good at all. Lists, and just basically listing out things such as the character is 5 feet tall and they have black hair and blue eyes and they have fair skin. Just listing things, to me, I've realized that it creates a bit of a really cold connection or almost no connection whatsoever. And this may seem a little bit silly, but what has helped me a lot is just to write it out. Write it as though it's a design document for a video game or a visual novel. Just talk about the character. The main character of the story is named so-and-so, and you may even say the same details such as they are 5 feet tall, and have black hair and blue eyes and fair skin. But the act of writing it as though you're telling somebody, at least for me, gives me that extra perception. What I mean by that is that I'm writing and I'm also thinking about what I'm writing as though from a different point of view, as though I was explaining this to somebody. And in the act of doing this process, I realize questions such as, wait a minute, I never actually considered what this character's place looks like. I've never actually considered what this character did before the story. And questions like that, as though pretending to be doing a presentation on it, gives you a new perspective. And it allows you to ask those questions before you're in the middle of writing, and suddenly you realize halfway through a book that you never considered what happened to your character before the beginning of the story. That was a long sentence! So again, really quickly, what has helped me, and I know this may seem a little bit small and maybe insignificant, but actually just fully writing out my thoughts, not just making lists. Making lists almost made me develop no mental connection because I was just writing out character traits as opposed to contextualizing them within the idea of a design document. Doing that really helped. And also, just to return to that point, as soon as I had a mental image of the character, as soon as I had an idea of, who they were, what they looked like and so forth, I stop. Because I have enough. I have enough to get writing. And I know that for you, William, who really enjoys the act of brainstorming, that may not be enough. And I can also understand why you would want to have more so that you don't have any uncertainty when writing. And I'm sitting here, thinking about your situation, and I'm wondering if there is a solution to it. And your question came at a really good time because I was literally just brainstorming like 2 days ago, and I was going over what I did and the things that I used to do when I was comparing them. And I found that ultimately, when I added up all of the time, it still took about as long as it used to. And unfortunately, the only solution that I have for that is that instead of just sitting down and doing it for like 5 hours straight, I've actually over the years, I started doing brainstorming in smaller chunks over several days. Part of my personal ritual whenever I allocate time for brainstorming is that I do it like smaller chunks. I'm talking like 30 minutes at most. I put on the music of the playlist that I developed for this project, and I listen to it. I imagine the characters. I imagine what I would like to see happen in the story, and I get working on that just 30 minutes at a time. It takes a long while. I know. I generally do it in between other projects, but the main point of doing this is that one, you don't burn out of just coming up with ideas and concepts, but secondly, and the most important thing of doing brainstorming over a period of time, is that you let the details settle in. If you brainstorm your main character on day 1, by day 2, all the details have settled, and you realize that this image becomes stronger and stronger. It's not, like, for me at least, brainstorming is not a matter of answering all of the questions, but rather let the big elements of the character settle in. And I know that it may not sound very kind or refreshing to hear, wait even longer, but at least in my experience, it has helped to just take it easy, take it one step at a time, because, and let's be real here, I have an authority on this, I can burn out super hard on projects. I am infamous for working too hard in a really small amount of time and burning myself the heck out. So I recommend to, at least for brainstorming, take it a little bit easier. Work one piece at a time, a couple at a time. This is the sort of thing where, like, if you have a job and you have like breaks on your lunch, this is a great thing to do in those time slots. And there's one more thing that I want to talk about, just one more little bit. And one of the things that I personally find beneficial of a slower, and I know that's not what you want, William, and I'm sorry, but like, at least for me, taking it a little bit easier with the brainstorming has also given me the opportunity to find other gems throughout the brainstorming process. For instance, for the project that I'm just finished brainstorming like 2 days ago, I took a break in between the brainstorming from one aspect to the next, and in the middle of that, in the middle of jumping between brainstorming characters and then events, I realized that I had missed a couple of really important places, and one particular group of people that I completely forgot to like brainstorm about, and it was actually really funny because this group of people that I forgot to brainstorm, this organization in the story, if you may, this organization, because I had already brainstormed another character that kind of lacked a connection to the plot, connecting them to this organization suddenly made a lot of sense, and it felt like, and this is the nerdiest thing, it felt like in Tetris, when you have like an empty row and you get that long block, the long tetramino as it's called, and it just falls perfectly, that's what it felt like. I'm like, I got the perfect piece. I was missing a connection for this character, and then this organization pops up, boom, suddenly, everything made sense. Okay, I've gone on way too long on brainstorming. There's just one more thing that I want to talk about really quickly. And again, just really quickly, I'm sorry that this may not be the answer that you were looking for. I really had to stop and wonder your question because I had just finished brainstorming. And I compared the way that I used to do brainstorming and the way that I'm doing it now, slowly adapting and making my process better step by step. And I have found that, yeah, unfortunately, taking it easier is a little bit more effective for me. It takes about the same time, just over a longer period of days. And I know that that sucks, and I know that that's probably not what you wanted to hear, but allow me to give you one piece of inspiration before you go, okay? The thing about brainstorming is this. It's the foundation of your story. It's the point from which you will launchpad the entire story. And thankfully, you only have to do it once. Personally, I found in my writing history that the instant I've got the story planned and things are moving and I start writing the story, a bunch of the things that I came up with don't happen. A bunch of them actually happen in different ways. The story develops and grows and blooms before you as it does. And that's part of the storytelling process. And at least for me, the outline becomes kind of a relic of what I thought the story would be about. I keep joking about showing people like the original character sheet for Annabelle from Justine's Blood because wow, that is nothing like what she ended up being. Oh man, she had a really weird soft plot, but anyways, you only gotta do it once. And even then, it's gonna be a relic of what you thought the story would be. The story will progress and bloom in front of you. So, I know that it may seem like a drag, at least it seems for me sometimes. It may seem like a drag, it may take a long time, but once it's done, okay? Get that foundation done, get it set in stone and moving so you can tell the story in the most effective way possible. Okay, and just like that, the first video, the returning video of Kirin and the Writer's Life Vlogs is done. Feels good. It's been a while since I did a video like this, so it feels good to realize that I'm back in the groove, just like I thought I would. But anyhow, I've gone on way too long. For the time being, I want to hear what you have been up to. What were you up to these last couple of weeks? Have you been writing? Have you been working on projects? Do you have any points of view or advice regarding brainstorming? And more importantly, July is coming up really quickly, and with it comes Part 2 of Camp NaNoWriMo. Are you participating? I am. I'm gonna be writing like crazy the next couple of weeks. So there is that. And also don't forget to leave any questions that you may have regarding future subjects that you would like me to talk about. But for the time being, I want to thank you for watching. Thank you for spending a little bit of your day with me. And I'll see you on the next one.